I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode. I'm so delighted that you're here, as always, forever and ever. And I'm just really happy to introduce you to Adam Burch of AdamSews. What can I say? So many things. Adam is pretty much known for sewing bags. He writes patterns for bags, caddies, catch-alls, carry-alls, backpacks, all the things. And he loves to make his samples explicitly with Tula Pink fabric, which we love. So his makes are always a good time. He's got a YouTube channel in which you could watch him make his bags. And he is partnering with John of Art East Quilting. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my brain froze. Art East Quilting. Adam is working with them to do a sew along in January. So you have time to sign up. And it is the Sew Place Like Home pattern that is from Art East Quilting, but they're recoloring it to be all in Tula Pink fabrics. So there's a website where you can sign up. You can be part of their online community. You can get the kit for the quilt, be prepared for the sew along starting January 15th. And if you don't know, Sew Place Like Home is the Wizard of Oz inspired quilt by Art East Quilting. So anyway, Adam is partnering with them, and it's just such an exciting project. It looks so cool. And I'm just so excited for you to get to know Adam better. So let's hop in. Hi, Adam. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, you.
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be chatting today. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So you are affectionately known as Adam Sews all over the place because that's your
Yes.
handle on the internet. And you do bags and quilts, and you've got YouTube tutorials. And you use a lot of Tula fabric, as we can see behind you, to make said bags and quilts. And so I'm just so excited to chat about all that today.
Yeah, it's become a bit of an issue. The amount of it I collect and the amount of it that comes in on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
It's like a never ending pool. You just keep diving and diving and diving, and you're like, where's the bottom? It's nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no
And
bottom.
every
Sorry.
time it comes up, it's like, oh, I have to have it because someone's got to have it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, might as well be me.
yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, before we talk about all your current stuff that's going on, what got you into sewing and quilting in the first place?
So I kind of started sewing when I was in secondary school, sort of like the equivalent of high school.
Hmm.
And we had to do sort of like multiple different sort of like, yeah, I think you call it home ec, don't you, over there?
Hmm.
Yeah, so we had to do multiple different things like woodwork, sewing, cooking, and so on. And then we it kind of it was just the one thing that kind of stuck once I started doing that at school.
Hmm.
And then my parents then sort of it was, when you're a kid, you kind of get asked what you want for your birthday and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'd like a sewing machine so I can do it at home as well.
Yeah.
Um, and I got the most entry level, terrible sewing machine, which I used for about 10 years until I left it in the loft for too long and it
Mm,
seized. And when it seized and I couldn't use it anymore, I thought, right, it's time to upgrade, which is
mm.
when I went and got something that was a little bit more fancy. But yeah, I just kind of it was just one of those things that it's just like you get the bug, don't you? And when you find something you like, it just sticks and then you're just all focused in on it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, kind of how I got into it, really.
Wow. That's fun. Yeah, it's not like as common to take home ec anymore here. Like it's not usually as readily offered. And so, but I took a home ec class in middle school, and because I'd grown up with sewing, I was just like, I already know how to do this. And then she was like, do it anyway. And I'm like, oh, fine. So we're just like sewing these little pillows, and I'm like, this is rudimentary. I know how to do this. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was the thing. Every time we got given a project, I kind of pushed it as as far away from the brief as I could, but still meet the brief.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, for our final sort of project that we had to do through secondary school, um, we had to do something that was related to either children's toys or
Mm.
children's clothing. Um, and I would say probably 80% of my class made like baby play mats, which are essentially a quilt with different textured things on.
Yeah.
Um, and looking back now, I probably should have done that because of where I'm at now. But
Yeah.
it just at the time it didn't because it was so flat and sort of one dimensional. It just
Hmm.
didn't sort of seem something that I wanted to do. So I ended
Hmm.
up there was like the tiniest little topic that was supposed to be like children's clothing, but it was supposed to be like sort of like dress up fancy dress.
Oh.
And I said to my teacher, I was like, "Is there any way that I could make like a ball gown?" And she was like, "Well, what are you sort of thinking?" I was like, "Well, it could kind of be like sort of like princessy sort of thing."
Mhm.
And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, I suppose you could kind of push the brief to that point." And I ended up making a fully boned and like net skirt bridesmaid's dress with machine embroidery all over it. And it was, yeah, it was completely not the brief.
That is so funny.
Yeah. And I couldn't find a children's pattern either. So I ended up making like a women's size 6, which was
Uh-huh.
the smallest pattern in a women's one. So I was like, well, it technically could fit a child.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I ended up making that instead.
Wow. That's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have boning alone,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I don't think I have made I did make a prom dress for one of my cousins probably about 10 years ago
Hmm.
when I'd had a lot more experience sewing after doing the first one at secondary school. Um, and I still don't think I'd do another one now.
Yeah, it's rough. I
Yeah.
know.
It's hard
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom made some formal dresses for me like that growing up so I could have, nice
Yeah.
dresses that fit me that I wanted for my formal dances. And one of them was a kind of a corset top. So she did the boning. I helped her and I was like, this is terrible. She's like, yeah, I know. It's like, sorry, as I'm like shoving it in there. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm not sorry because it's the dress of my dreams. And then now
Yeah.
we decided it's cursed because I wore it to prom and then I got broken up with. My boyfriend broke up with me like 3 days later. And then my sister wore it to
Oh no.
prom because it fit her when she was in high school. And then her boyfriend broke up with her right after too. And I was like, oh, we have to burn it. My mom's like, no.
Yeah, the amount of work that went into it, you're not
Yeah.
burning it.
And it's gorgeous. So I'm like, I don't really want to burn it because it's so beautiful and it's kind of timeless. Like I feel like somebody could wear it now and people would be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
It's probably nothing to do with the dress.
no, probably not. Probably just bad boyfriends. So it's fine. We're both in happy relationships now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, great.
She was just like, this fucking thing's cursed. And I was like, don't you talk about my dress like that. We're gonna
Well,
put her
that's like
away.
when
And
people are like that with wedding dresses, aren't they? They're
mm,
scared to they're reluctant to wear like a, a pre-loved dress in
mhm.
case it comes with
Yeah,
like bad juju or something, yeah,
I
from a
know.
previous wedding.
I know. I think about that. Still have my wedding dress because I just cannot. Every time I'm like, I'm just gonna get rid of it. Like I'm never gonna use it. I don't have daughters. I'm
Mm,
never gonna have daughters. My sister's not gonna use it. Like the, I just want to get rid of it. And then every time I go to take it out of the closet, I'm like, I can't do it. So, but
could
also
you incorporate it into a project though?
I don't know because there's so much beading on it. Like, well, it's mostly just satin, but then it has a drop waist like hand beaded belt around that goes all the way
Yeah.
around that's attached to the dress and then the whole train is all that same beading. um I
Okay.
don't know what I would do with it, but I love it so much. So it's just really, I've thought about it. I'm like, oh, I could cut it up, but I'm like, nope, that makes me want to throw up. So for now,
Yeah.
13 years later, it's still in my closet. So we'll see what happens to it. I might I might kind of get it, cleaned and preserved and put into like a big shadow box or like a
I
big,
was going to say, I was literally just thinking that I've seen a lot of people have been doing that recently and putting it
yeah.
on their like sort of the top of their staircase or
Mhm.
somewhere so that you can see it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have anywhere to display it, but it would just make me feel better knowing it was like sealed up and protected.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just in a garment bag in a closet that I don't use. And so it's not the
Yeah.
best, not ideal. But anyway, enough about me. So did you kind of stick with the clothing theme of sewing, as you moved away from secondary school? And did that stay a focus, or was that just something you thought was fun to try and you just wanted to push the envelope?
So I did make clothes for quite some time and I still make clothes now. I mean this shirt is a Tula, the holiday homies flannel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I made it. So I do make clothes, but I try and I'm with I think the thing with clothing is there's only so many clothes that you can own. So
Mm,
I don't make that many because I make things generally I try and make things that last.
yeah.
And things that are kind of universal. So I kind of try and make things that are sort of, I mean, even though this is a pattern, it's quite a sort of neutral pattern. So it goes
Right.
with everything. So I try and make things that are interchangeable with lots of different things. So
Yeah.
I don't have to make clothes continuously.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, I do make clothes, but probably only 10% of my sewing is clothing.
Hmm.
I do, however, now sew sample sew shirts for Brandon and Kaif, which was a
Oh,
weird, crazy thing that came about.
yeah.
Um, and that was, I think that was actually stemmed from the post that I put up about this shirt that I made.
Okay.
Brandon saw it on Instagram, and then their sample sewers that used to sew for them moved back to their home country.
Okay.
So he was looking for someone to sample sew their shirt. So that's
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I moved away from garment sewing probably in lockdown because I kind of got to the point where I was like, well, I've kind of got a decent sized wardrobe. I don't really need anything.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was furloughed for 8 weeks. And after about 2 weeks of sitting around watching like every Netflix thing that you could binge,
Yeah.
um, I kind of thought to myself, what can I do now? And my parents were in the process of clearing everything out of their house because they were getting ready to sell, and they found some old sewing stuff in the loft, and I was like, I probably should use it again.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd probably not sewn for about 2 years before lockdown. So I went to my parents and grabbed everything that they wanted rid of that was mine, basically, because they
Hmm.
were on a massive clear out rather than throwing away their own stuff. They wanted all the
Right.
kids' stuff out of the house.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of got to a point and I'd always wanted to make a quilt for the longest time that I can remember. And I just sort of sat down. I mean, it was the most terrible quilt. I've mentioned this before. It's literally like the worst quilt I think I could ever have made. I cut everything out with scissors and a paper template, well, a cardboard template that I cut out from a cereal box.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't even nothing even like none of the seams nested or anything like that. It was like a 3 3/8 inch square that I used or something random. Um, and it wasn't even all cotton. It was like some of it was um like I'd been bought some gift sets from Lush, the bath
Hmm.
cosmetics place, and they come wrapped in these sort of like they're like this weird canvassy
Yeah.
handkerchief napkin things.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of those that had like some really cool prints on them. So I ended up chopping those up and incorporating those in with the patchwork as well.
Oh
And
wow.
then when I ran out of squares and the quilt wasn't big enough, I just started like putting even larger size squares around it.
Hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. But I still have the quilt. It's still completely serviceable. It protects our sofa now from the dogs. So it's been on there for
Perfect.
the best part of 10, well, however many years ago that was, that 5 6 years, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, so I quilted it free motion on a really old vintage Bonina 1280, 1230 or whatever it was.
Mm.
Um Nearly burnt the motor out because it's probably, I think it's about 120-inch square.
Oh.
It's huge. I mean,
Whoa.
it wasn't like It was one of those things, you think, I'm going to make a quilt. I'm just going to make one that's like super king size
Yeah.
as the first project.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
of
as
course.
anyone would. Um, yeah, and then from then onwards, I kind of, because I kind of like played with free motion quilting and stuff like that, I then went down the sort of route of making quilted bags.
Mm,
And I spent most of the rest of that sort of like period of time that I was furloughed just making bag after bag after bag. Um, and then when I realized that I had more bags than I knew what to do with, I went back and started making just some jelly roll quilts from So Quilting's like free patterns.
hmm
Um, and that was when decided then to set up my YouTube channel, because I'd been talking to other people that I knew that had YouTube channels that I'd met through the sewing community.
hmm
Um, and there was kind of like a gap where I kind of thought to myself, there's so I post on Fridays under a Friday Sews hashtag that was set up by my lovely friend Jen. Um, and when she set that hashtag up so that it was kind of like somewhere that everyone could post on a Friday and follow it
hmm
so that people could find other people through it,
Yeah.
there was no one else at all that was a guy that sewed that was posting under that. Um, and I thought, well, what have I got to lose? So I just set up my YouTube channel.
hmm
Um, and within like the first sort of, I think it was about first 5 months, I got 1,000 subscribers, and then it started climbing up a bit more, and then a bit more, and a bit more. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my YouTube channel now for probably about 4 or 5 years, and I looked at my figures this morning, and I'm like nearly on 9,000 now, and it's just like, who are these 9,000 people that listen to me witter on every week? It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, so it kind of just stemmed from that really, and then I started sharing a lot more about quilting and bag making, and
hmm
then I started doing some tutorials on there for sort of like simple quilted bag projects and different things.
hmm
And then I kind of got to a point where I sort of thought I was making a lot of patterns from some of the big pattern designers, and there was some of them that I was working through, and I've got quite a mathematical sort of methodical way of thinking. And to
hmm
me, they made a lot of sense. But a lot of my friends were saying to me, I don't know how you can make those bags. The patterns are like reading a dissertation. I don't understand them. And then that was when I sort of thought to myself, well, I can understand the construction process. I understand
hmm
the sort of like how to make sure all the measurements are correct, including seam allowances for zips and different things like that. And then that was when I
Yeah.
sort of started making my own patterns. And I sent a few, like the first couple that I made, I just sent out to my friends, and I was like, just make them if you fancy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then a friend of mine was like, why are you not selling them as PDF download? Um, which is when I then set up my store properly.
hmm
Um, and I think I've got about 15 or 16 patterns now that are on there. And there's
Okay.
about another 5 in development.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's one of those things now when I sort of think of something, or I'll see something and I think that's an unusual shape that could make a really cool bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just sit and start trying to figure it out.
Yeah. How fun. What, when you first started making bags, like what was were they just, regular tote bags? Were you trying different patterns or, to try different construction methods, or were you just making the same kind of bag over and over again?
I generally at the beginning didn't really ever make the same bag twice, because
Mm,
I'm kind of one of these people that's kind of a bit like, right, well, I've done that. There must be something more exciting or something more difficult or more challenging.
sure.
Um, so I kind of just kind of try and push my skills each time.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people that kind of like, if I'm interested in something, I kind of want to know as much about that as I physically can learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I've sort of done something, I'm like, well, there must be something more difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fair. I know there's some people who are like, I'm going to make 50 of these because now I know and I've got it down and I can just like whip through them. And then like you, or you're just like, okay, I made that. I need to try something else. I need new techniques. I
Yeah,
need something to kind of keep my brain moving. So that's
yeah.
interesting. And did you have a favorite one from that time that really made you?
Mm, I think caddies were the one thing that
Mm,
most people know me for.
Okay.
And I dread to think how many caddies I've made. I've probably made either close to 100 or over 100 of them.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
They're
It's
just so
funny, you go,
handy.
yeah, they just store everything.
I know.
And I go to like, I went to a social up in Newcastle, which is like 250 miles from home.
Mm.
And I walked in there and there was like three people that had caddies that were made by me that had purchased them, but I'd never been able to put the caddy to the face. And it's really weird when you walk in somewhere and they're like, "What are your caddies?" And I'm like, "Oh,
This
that's yeah." I never really know what to say.
You're like, thank you, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. It's really
That's
odd,
that's so
but it's
funny.
kind of nice because it's like seeing like long lost relatives
Yeah.
because you
You're
see
like, hey,
something
I
and you're
know
like, "I
you.
remember that one."
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like, hey, that's mine. Yeah.
yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah.
I
It's
love
fun.
that. How cool. And like it's probably the same feeling I could imagine like when I'm out somewhere and somebody comes up and I've never met them before and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love your podcast." I'm like, "Me?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "What?" Okay. It's just like, "Oh wow, people actually listen to this thing." Okay, great. it- it's like I see the numbers and whatever, I chat with people every week at least and so then for an absolute stranger to just like walk up out of nowhere and say, "I
yeah.
love your stuff." I'm like, "Whoa."
But do you not find it's really odd because those people that listen to you on a weekly basis,
Yeah.
they think that they know everything about you
Yeah.
and that you automatically know who they are.
Yeah. I
And then
I don't
sometimes you're like, I don't know who you are, and I don't know
yeah.
how to.
They're just like, "Hi." I'm like, "Hi." And some people I've like interacted with, like I've chatted with, like they'll DM me or they'll, comment on the YouTube videos or whatever. And that's great. But it's like seeing someone's teeny tiny avatar versus seeing them in person is so different.
Yeah,
So when they're like, "Hi, Amanda," and I'm like, "Hello, who are
yeah,
you?" Like, I love it. I want people to come say hello, and
yeah,
it really is encouraging to me. But yeah, I can just imagine with your own seeing your work in someone else's hand that they purchased from you, but you've never met them. It's like, oh my God, that's my bag. What are you doing with it? Like,
yeah. It's really surreal. Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean I've had some that have gone. I mean not so much now. I have to limit where I ship to due to
Hmm.
different reasons, different like legal reasons and different things like that, and
Sure.
tariffs and this, that, and the other. But I I've sent one of my caddies. I think the furthest one that ever went anywhere was to a naval base in Japan.
Ooh,
Yeah, like
yeah.
really weird. I mean, I've sent to Australia and America and Canada and New Zealand, but that was a really strange one. The one that went to Japan.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. So there's a big American military presence there. So,
yeah.
I mean, my own husband worked on a base there in Okinawa, but like,
Okay.
yeah, it's wild when you can realize that your reach is so far. Like,
Mm,
I mean, Japan, yeah, it's like in the same thing. I look at my analytics and see like listeners from like all over the place. I'm like, what are you doing in Lithuania? Like, what?
yeah,
I don't know if that's really, but it's just countries or places that I wouldn't ever think that my show could go. And so I'm sure the same thing for your patterns and your bags of like, and you
yeah,
get to see where you're shipping things and like, who is this person? Like, it makes me so
yeah.
curious. Like, why are you there and what are
But
you doing?
you kind of almost feel as well like if you travel, you kind of like I've met people in the US. I've met people from Canada that have come over here for shows like Festival of Quilts and different
Yeah.
things. And I met a lady at Festival of Quilts this year, and she sort of very quietly sort of called my name as I was walking through the main hall part. And
Hmm.
I sort of stopped and said hello to her. And she lives in Australia and watches me, but she was over
Okay.
here for Festival of Quilts, but she's originally from Ireland.
Ah,
So it was like, how have you ended back up in Birmingham for Festival of Quilts when when you were born in Ireland but now live in Australia, but now you're here again? Yeah,
that's a
it's
lot.
really strange.
Yeah. Yeah. What a roundabout way to
Yeah,
Wow.
to meet someone. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome though. And I think it's to me, it's like humanizing because especially when you live so much online or like so much of what we do, it's like we have to have online followership because that's where we get, you know,
Yeah,
clients for our business or listeners for the show or whatever.
yeah,
But then when you get to actually meet, flesh and bone human beings who are on the other side of those numbers, who are one of those numbers, it's like, oh, hello, and thank you so much for being a person. It just feels so ethereal otherwise, like
yeah.
not
And it's
real.
really nice making those proper connections with the actual people.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of people that I ever sort of got noticed by when my channel was really small, I went to a show and I was under no illusion that anyone would even know who I was or that anyone would even come up to me and say hello. And the first time someone ever did, I was walking around the show with my husband and he went, "That lady that's just walked past has just like sort of like really quietly like called your name." And I was like, and because I just didn't expect it. And he went,
Yeah.
"That lady over there." And I turned around and she sort of smiled and waved at me. And I was like, what do I do then? I was like, well, go and talk to her. And I was like, but about what? Because I don't know who she is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing to wrap your head around to try and like put in like because you're just living your life, you're just doing what you normally do. You're focused on, you know, your day to day, not
Mm,
really realizing like what other people think or feel about you necessarily because you're just like, it's not in my
yeah.
face, so I'm not really thinking about it kind of thing. So to then have to like be a personality all of a sudden and like be a certain way, it's like, I don't know actually what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I
It's
almost,
nice though because you've always got that immediate connection because you have something in common.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's a
that's,
really good thing as well, is you've always got that one thing that you can relate on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It was, um, I shared it on my Instagram stories, but my local guild, we just had our big quilt show we do every year.
Mm,
Um, and someone came up to me when I was helping give away the door prizes for a little while, and someone came up to me and he's like, Amanda, and I was like, yeah, and he was like, I'm a listener and I love the show and da, 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 and just was listening to this episode and this episode, and it really encouraged me to enter two quilts, and I got ribbons, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I win. This is all I want. Like this is all I
yeah.
want. It's for
That's
people to like
awesome.
get something out of this, like me yapping all the time.
Yeah.
And but I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want this to be. And then to like see people succeed because of something they got out of the show, or I'm sure for you, like watching people successfully make your patterns and be sharing them online and
Yeah.
making
That's
them.
wild when you get tagged.
Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
just like seeing what people come up with, because I love like once you release something in the world, it's like not yours anymore, right? It's for them, it's theirs. And so to see what they
Yeah.
do with it, I'm sure is just like a dream.
Yeah. Or if someone makes a slight pattern adjustment and adapts it in some way, then you're like, why didn't I think of that? Because it's
Right.
such a good way of doing that. Yeah. I love
Right.
that as well.
Yeah. That's so cool. And I think it almost like because like you're just one person, you can only think of so many things at once. And like when you're especially when you're making a bag, I'm sure a pattern like you're going to do what logically makes sense to you or make it in a way that like works for your way of thinking. And so when someone else can see that and go, oh, you know what, this and this, it's like yes and the yes and concept of
Yeah.
you said yes and now this person's saying and another person can
Mm,
say and keep saying and
yeah.
adding to to your original idea just makes it even more incredible that there's just endless wells of creativity everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love to see it. I love to like follow
Yeah.
people's pattern releases and see what other people make from it and their ideas and their perspectives. And
Yeah. And the thing is as well is like a lot of a lot of the people that make my patterns don't necessarily make them in Tula fabric.
mhm,
So seeing them made in a completely different line of fabric, I'm like, it literally looks totally different.
right.
Because I always make my samples in Tula as well. So I
Yeah.
only ever see them made in Tula.
Hmm.
So when someone like tags me, and there was a really lovely lady that sort of tagged me through the whole process of making my acorn backpack a little while ago
Mm,
on Instagram. She had like a week off work, so every day she was uploading the progress that she'd made on it that day, and
yeah.
she made it in this super cute hedgehog fabric that was like sort of like a novelty print because it was being made for her daughter to take to school.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just like, it just looks so cute in that fabric, but I would
Yeah.
never have thought to pick that out to use.
Yeah. That's so fun. And yeah, so like you said, you make your samples out of Tula. So like was that immediately some, fabric that you've always used, or was it something that came about because you just liked a certain line or what?
So I have always had a bit of a thing about Alice in Wonderland.
Mm.
Like our whole wedding was Alice in Wonderland themed. We got
Oh,
married in a cave, and as the ceremony finished, we had the down the rabbit hole music from the film,
yeah.
so that as people were walking out, because at the end of the ceremony, they actually took them through on a private tour of the whole cave system. So it was
Yeah.
like they were going down the rabbit hole, basically.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so yeah, that was, and then we had like a Mad Hatter's tea party for the reception.
Ah.
Um, so when she released the Curiouser and Curiouser line,
Hmm.
there was a lady on a D-Stash group or somewhere that was, it was quite far up towards the end of the release, I think, and she was selling off the remaining stock that she had because she had health problems and was closing her fabric selling business down.
Oh.
And I saw it come up and I was like, what is this? I
Hmm.
need it.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I contacted her and I was like, look, just sell me the rest of your stock. I'll just take the whole lot. So I ended up buying, I think I ended up, I think there was 20, 22 or 24 SKUs in that range. And I ended up with about 18 of them on bolts
Oh wow.
in various quantities. It was, none
Sure.
of them were full bolts.
Yeah.
Um, And then once it arrived, I was like, oh, what do I do with it now? Because it was like the most precious fabric that I think I'd ever spent money on. Um, and it wasn't sort of until I got it in my hands, I was like, right, okay, this is like quilting cotton like I've never felt before.
Yeah.
Um, and then it kind of just spiraled from there. I was like, what other ones are there? What else can I get? What matches with it? What goes from previous lines? There must be more to this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I got to this
You're like, and now
crazy amount.
I'm
Yeah,
buried in it. Yeah. That's
yeah,
so funny. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, that it's so cool that she was able to sell you all of that because then you had however much you wanted to work with and didn't have to worry about like, oh, I only have a fat quarter bundle or oh, I only have half yards. Like you had a lot.
yeah,
You had a lot.
yeah. I don't think I ever buy anything less than a half yard
Mm,
because I know that with all of my Tudor fabrics, even so, whatever range it's from, whether it's out of print or current, I never ever allow myself to get to less than half a yard.
mm,
If it gets to half a yard, that's when it goes into archive and then it doesn't get used because I
okay.
need to, in my head, I need to know that I've got half a yard at least. There's some lines that I've only got fat quarters of
Mm,
because I've been able to pick them up from people that bought them obviously a long time before I found Tudor as a designer. But
yeah.
yeah, I try and I try I do this silly thing now. I've mentioned it before. If I'm getting low on something and I want to use it, I buy another one from somewhere else, or I'll try and find it on a D stash so
Yeah.
that I can replace what I'm using.
Mm, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
it's kind of like the one in one out sort of thing now.
Yeah. It makes sense. And if it's something that you collect, and obviously, with all the de-stash groups and all the reselling that happens, those out of print ones have a ton of value. So
Yeah,
it's like no different than collecting a record or a stamp or,
yeah,
like now you collect fabric, which is fine.
yeah. I've got a few that I've had people approach me and say, "Have you got any of this?"
Mm,
And if it's less than half a yard, the answer is yes, I have, but unfortunately, I can't help you. But there are a couple of times when, like, a friend of mine was making an EPP quilt that
Mhm.
she'd bought quite a few. I think she'd bought it a couple of years ago when Daydreamer was
Mm,
one of the most current lines.
mhm,
And Daydreamer was released during lockdown, I believe,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
they ran that line for, it seemed to be available for a long time compared to
Yeah.
some of the other lines.
Yeah.
Um, and she mentioned on her she's a YouTuber as well, and she mentioned on her channel about 4 or 5 months ago that she was getting to the point in the quilt where she needed the mixed jaguar fabric.
Mm,
Um, but she couldn't find it anywhere, obviously, because that was one of the prints that sold out. It was the sort of more smaller sort of blender prints
yeah.
that were still available in other stores. So I messaged her and I was like, look, how much do you need?
Mhm.
And she was like, well, I've only got like 4 or 5 hexes that need this one, and so on and so on. And I was like, look, I'll cut you off like an 8-inch strip from
Mhm.
the width of fabric from each of the colours, which you will then have ample to fussy cut those few things. And she was
Right.
like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I want you to be able to make the quilt as
Yeah.
it was intended with the pictures on
Yeah.
the actual pattern cover. And she was like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
if I can help someone, then I will. But there's certain things where I'm like, I've only got a fat quarter. I'm really sorry, but I can't part with half of that.
Yeah.
Especially cameos, because
Mhm.
cameos you can't really cut a fat quarter in half because you won't get a full cameo.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah,
even
so
sometimes with a fat quarter, the cameo is so big that it's barely in the fat quarter, and you're like, oh
yes,
my God.
yeah,
That's how it was
yeah.
with my De La Luna sisters. Like I got some when she reprinted the what's that line called?
Oh, Nightshade Deja Vu.
Yeah, 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 yeah. When
Yeah, yeah,
she released Nightshade Deja Vu, I got some fat quarters of it, and I had the sisters in some fat quarters, and they were very tricky to fussy cut because
yeah,
they were barely in the fat quarter. And I was like, oh my God. So
yeah.
have I done anything with that? No, I have not. But because it's one of those things where I'm terrified to cut into my Tula because what if I hate it? And
They're
then,
really good to use as project bags.
yeah,
Because if you can actually, because you can get the full cameo in a
yeah,
project bag, and because you don't really, if you use it on the back of a project bag, you don't really put anything on it, so it's
true.
you still see the whole print. Yeah, I think
Mm,
that's the kind of the one of the best, or a bag that's got large panels,
yeah,
like the back of a backpack, like
yeah,
that would go against your back, so that when you take it off, you can see the
yeah.
full scale of it.
That's a good idea.
But
Those,
they're hard to fussy cut into a quilt block
mhm, yeah.
because you'd have to have like a 24-inch quilt block to
Which
get
I'm
one of
not
those in
opposed
the
to.
middle.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm not opposed to that because I do like a big quilt. I don't love fussy tiny
yeah,
pieces that you have to mess around with. And so I'm like, oh, as long as it's bigger than 2 inches, I'm happy to work with it. So
yeah. I think I'd quite like to, with those sisters, I'd quite like to make them into cushions for the sofa because you could have all of the sisters
yeah,
lined up, which would
yeah,
look quite cool.
yeah. I did cut them out of the fat quarters, but I haven't done anything with that. So I still have endless possibilities really to do with them as I please. But that's a project for a different day because I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I'm busy making other people's
Yeah,
stuff. So it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I fell in love with Tula like right when I started quilting because I was
mm,
in that era of, you know, I don't know if Amy Butler was ever popular over there, but
yeah, yeah,
her big, fun, colorful, beautiful prints. It was just like those big florals and just like, I don't
yeah. I
know.
had some of her. I can't remember what line it was, but it was. I think it was supposed to imitate kaleidoscopes.
Mm-hmm.
I had some of that line, and that was really
Yeah.
beautiful. I made some
Yeah.
really nice things with that.
Yeah. I had, I mean, I've had some stuff, but her line called It Takes Two. No, it's called Soulmates.
Okay.
And it has like blues and pinks. And then one of the hero print is two peacocks. And that one's
Oh
called It
wow.
Takes Two. And I love peacocks. Like my wedding was
Yeah.
peacocks. So,
Oh wow.
and so anyway, that was a line that I was just like obsessed with. And I made, kind of a herringbone because that was back in the day when I just made everything out of half square triangles. And
Yep.
but I did it with like a gray kind of almost tweed looking kind of cotton
Oh nice.
blender fabric, and so it just made
Mm.
the colors really pop. And yeah, but that was like one of the last Amy Butler lines I used because I kind of feel like she stepped away from more like lines of fabric to like more home
Yeah.
home sewing, that kind of thing. But anyway, so then when I
She'll
found
come back, I'm
yeah,
sure.
I think she will. And then,
Because Dear Stella's done the same, hasn't she? She's come back now.
yeah, yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then finding Tula and all that, I was like, oh my God, like that I
Mm.
am more is more color on top of color kind of girl. So
Yeah.
all my quilts are just very like you can kind of barely see the corner. I'm like, how do I point it at this one? Right here
Yeah.
is actually um a fat quarter bundle I got of her deja vu of her all stars
Oh yeah, yeah.
prints, and I didn't cut them up. I just left them as they were, and I um roughly kind of made a pattern from there's a pattern called I can't think of it now, box ties or something like that. And
Mm.
so there's like a print that gets kind of featured as it goes down, but then you've got these big strips of like the main kind of background fabric and then little frames and strips of that frame fabric that go through those like longer strips of the background fabric. And so I kind of I had made a quilt with that and I like roughly knew the measurements. And so I just kind of, you know, rearranged that so that I could make a giant, like basically
Yeah.
100-inch square quilt from all of those Tula prints. There's not a single solid, there's nothing to break it up. And then I used
Yeah.
the Daydreamer wide back, the like the circle
Oh yeah,
rainbows
yeah.
as the backing and the binding. So there's not a break for your eye in that quilt, but I don't
Yeah.
care.
That's like the one on my bed is the same as that.
Yeah.
It's like the electric slide quilt, which is the one that was a bit like a log cabin.
Yeah.
And that when I made that, I literally took 1.5 inch slices off the end of every fabric I had, and then just built each block out of each line. So
Yeah.
that quilt is literally, it's like quilt vomit. It's got everything in it.
Yes. I love it. I
And
love
it is
it.
so bright.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that
and
so
there's
much.
nowhere to rasterize in there at all.
I don't want it. Like, I don't want it. I want
Yeah,
to keep looking. I want to keep like I want my eyes to keep wandering and looking for stuff. And I get why
yeah,
you need sometimes you need that visual space, but man,
mm,
if I can just pile everything into a quilt, I'll do it because I love
mm.
it. And then on top of it, I will quilt it with like the brightest like thread I can find that will
Yeah,
match and a super fun intricate pantograph. Like
yeah,
I'm like I definitely am my grandmother's grandchild because she's also like that, like very like color on color on color on color. And she's
yeah,
like, yeah. And I'm fine with it because it makes me happy. So
yeah. I made my parents a quilt for Christmas last year, and I said to my parents, I was like, "What sort of quilt would you want if you wanted one?" And my dad was like, "Something kind of subtle and quite earthy, sort of like more sort of vintage looking." And I was like, "Okay, I can do that."
like I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't enjoy it as much.
No, no.
But yeah,
That's so funny. Yeah. I yeah, I'm with you. I making quilts for other people. They're like, oh, I want this fabric or I want this. I'm like, really? No.
yeah,
Like silently judge them as I'm like, yeah, of course I can do that. Hmm.
yeah,
I don't want to, but I will. No, it's fine. It
yeah.
pushes me to like do other things or try other things that I wouldn't normally grab or go to. So it's kind of nice in
Mm.
that sense. But anyway, um, I mean, yeah, is do you pretty much just only try to sew with Tula? Do you ever see anything else that strikes your fancy that you'll grab if you like it or
So I'm quite strict with myself because of the quantity of Tula that I have. I try my best not to buy anything else because that's like I have a few things that I buy of other designers. So I have got a little stash of Cave, and I've got some of the Brandon Mabley stuff, and I've got a tiny bit of Ruby Star Society.
Hmm.
Um, my sort of biggest collection that's not Tula is probably Laurie Holt,
Mm,
which people seem to be really surprised about. But
yeah.
even though it's really vintage and really sort of like ditzy floral and completely opposite to what Tula does,
Yeah.
the actual color of Laurie's stuff is actually quite similar.
Hmm.
There's a lot of mint greens, there's a lot of teals, a lot of blues, a lot of soft pinks.
Hmm.
There's some quite vibrant pinks as well, but they're just
Yeah.
in because they're in such a different format, they look totally different. But if you actually put them side by side, and if you pulled like all of the colors out of it, you could probably recolor each of them with the same colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
makes
it's
sense.
I have got, yeah. And the funny thing is as well is my favorite color that Laura uses is a color that's is called raisin, which is like a really dark chocolate brown
Yeah.
that's kind of got a purpley tone to it almost.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a lot of Laurie's prints in raisin,
Raisin.
and it's just the total opposite.
Yeah.
Like that would never go in a Tula quilt. It would just look so out of place.
Hmm. For
But
sure.
it's kind of that nice depth if you are working with Laurie's fabrics.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I always try and sew them up on my featherweight as well, just to
Yeah.
be like true in keeping.
We're gonna just
Really
go all vintage
stupid.
here.
Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's fun to be able to have little kind of rituals for yourself, or like little kind of, this is what I do with this machine, or this is how I work with this fabric, because I think it keeps the joy in it. It keeps the kind of novelty and the fun in it. And everybody kind of has their own way of approaching certain things, and I
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that raisin color too. So I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. It's like so rich and deep, but it's not just brown. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like some of the browns from other collections, which are like, oh, it's just sort of muddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good. But that one is good. And you're right. Like Lori Holt does have that very similar color palette, and there's nothing, it's traditional in like design, but in color way, it's
Yeah. It's
it's
not
more
vintage at all,
modern.
really, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
still gives that vintage, it's like the modern vintage feel where
Yeah.
you want to feel nostalgic, but also let's bring it to the current times. And
Yeah.
I love her fabrics for that too. So I get
Mm,
it. And like the fun, buffalo plaids and checks and the tiny florals and those kinds of things just
yeah.
make me so happy. But it's
Yeah,
good.
they are good. It's I mean that's so John from Art East Quilting. I make a lot of his patterns when I'm making
Okay.
quilt patterns now because most of his patterns are basically sampler format, and I'm not mad keen on making a quilt that's just got like 36 of the same block
Yeah.
because I get like 10 blocks in and I'm like, oh, this is just like the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and he's over the last couple of like big sew alongs that he's done with 100 Acre Wood, the Winnie the Pooh quilt, and
Hmm.
other ones. He's used a lot of they've all been Riley Blake fabrics, but he's used a lot of Laurie's blenders
Hmm.
because the print's so small, and some of his blocks have got like 1 inch stitch and flips. You
Yeah.
can still get a decent amount of her print in like a half square
Right.
triangle that is
Right.
hot, like finished 3/4 of an inch.
Right.
So yeah.
I love that. Like those micro prints are so perfect for that.
Mm,
I love it. But
yeah.
okay, and so you're actually partnering with him with Art East Quilting, right? Art East Quilting,
Y-
Art East Quilts.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's got
For
okay, yeah.
yeah, for a quilt along of his Wizard of Oz quilt, right?
Yes.
And that's coming
Yeah, so
January.
place like home, yeah. Yeah, it starts
Ah,
January the 11th, I think it is.
okay.
I hope it is.
Let me see. I think I wrote it down. January
Yeah,
15th.
15th. There we go.
There we
I
go.
knew that really.
January 15th. We'll make
Yeah.
sure that that's in there in print. We'll put it in writing. No, so you guys are partnering together, and like how did that come about? Did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you?
So we've kind of developed a really close friendship over the last sort of couple of years. I don't really know how it came about. I don't even know. I can't even remember how we started chatting, but I think it was because I'd made his Highland cow quilt,
Mm,
the Highland Coo, and I'd made that from Tula, but it doesn't actually. It's one of those quilts that I made, and I was very specific about how I chose fabrics for it because I chose. So it's supposed to obviously be like sort of earthy tones for the cow,
hmm.
and I'd actually found some. There was some like almost brown colours that she done in. Oh, what is the line now? It's the one with the bears.
Right.
And there was some
Uh,
tones in that
uh-huh.
that had spirit animal.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
had the tiny little bears that were in hot pink on like
Mm,
almost like a brown background.
yeah.
So I pulled that because the Highland Coo, most of it is made up from sort of they're quite narrow strips that
Hmm.
almost you almost stitch them together like you're making a jelly roll race,
Yeah.
which actually makes the cow's body, which then looks like the hair
Hmm.
hanging down off of it. And I picked some of those sort of like I picked the brown with the pink bear because the bear's so small, so it read
Hmm.
as a brown.
Hmm.
And then there was the Wanderer fabric, which I think was from Chipper or something, which
Mm,
is it's like a green and brown, like weird hexy sort of print.
hmm.
Um, but when they're all sort of like cut really narrow and stitched together, they kind of all read as solid.
Yeah.
Um, and I've made that, and then I tagged him in it when I uploaded it on Instagram, and I think we just had a little bit of like an exchange of um, chat about that, and then we just became really close friends. Like there's so much. It's really weird because he lives in like a fairly remote part of Canada,
Okay.
so it's like completely worlds apart from here.
Yeah.
Um, but we have so much in common. It's just really strange. Like the more you chat to someone, you find out like things that they've done in their past and I've done in my past, and it's
Yeah.
just yeah, we just get on so well. He's just such a lovely guy as well. He's so generous.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
So,
yeah, we were chatting about doing so longs and different things last year, and he said leave it with me sort of thing. He's like we've got some things in the works that we think we might want to do, but he's kind of been quite open and said that he is like one person and there's only so much that one person can do. Um,
right.
and they wanted to start running more sew alongs a year rather than because they do like a main sew along which starts in spring next year, which will be the second star to the right, which is the Peter Pan
Hmm.
Captain Hook inspired quilt. And they wanted to sort of run their main sew along for the new release every year. Then they run a smaller sew along, which is normally for a sampler quilt later on in the year.
Hmm.
But they wanted to try and get like another sew along in somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, so John and his husband Matt, we had a sort of like Zoom for about 3 hours, and they were like, "How would you feel about coming on board and doing some bits and bobs?" And I'd already been on. So they run all their sew alongs through the Circle community through their own sort of like platform.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd been on for 100 Acre Wood and sewn up a bag project that was like it when it finished, it was a tote that finished that looked like a honey pot.
Oh,
So it was kind of
cute.
cute, and we'd kind of worked so that it would be big enough that if you wanted to actually roll up your quilt, it would fit in the honey pot.
Oh,
Um, and that seemed to be like really popular within that sort of like 100 Acre Wood community that John and
yeah.
Matt have created. Um, so yeah, he sort of said, "Would you be up for running a reboot of So Place Like Home?" Because I believe it was released about 3 or 4 years ago now, and it was
Okay.
released originally in a solids
Mm.
sort of like layout. Um, and John is like the Canadian version of me when it comes to Tula. He loves Tula.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the thing as well. Like when it comes towards like release date, we're always like, oh, do you think it's going to be another sea themed one, or do you think it's going to be like another one with cameos? Or
Yeah.
and we're always trying to guess and like
Mm.
bounce off each other or what we think it might be. Um, so yeah, he kind of said that they wanted to rerun it, and he'd redesigned the whole quilt in Tula's fabrics, as many of them as he could get in from True Colours, and there's some grey work in the new pattern as well. And
Mm,
I think that kind of filled in a lot of gaps as well for certain colours within the quilt,
yeah.
because obviously Tula doesn't do a lot of red and she
Mm,
doesn't do a lot of earth tones.
mm-mm,
So in order to sort of make the like Dorothy's house and the tornadoes and stuff like
mm-mm.
that feature around the quilt, they kind of have to be browns and greys and colours like that.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I think the launch of grey work and having those small triangle prints that are coming with grey work, the
Yeah.
kind of shady prints, it's kind of given a bit more scope as to how to recolor certain patterns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, when John came to me and sort of said, "Look, this is what we've been working on. What do you
Yeah.
think?" And sort of like, "Do you like the look of it?" I was like, "It's awesome. I really want to make it." So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of jumped on board as soon as they sort of offered me the chance to work with them.
Yeah. How fun. And just the fact that it was, born from the relationship that you built beforehand. It wasn't just like, oh, we want this guy to be our spokesperson. It's like, no, you're friends. He knew that he could ask you to do that and that it's something that you would want to do. It's like you're gonna sew
Yeah,
his patterns anyway. You're gonna use Tula Pink anyway. You might as well, you
yeah,
know, jump in. And I think that's so fun. And it's so fun to collaborate with other quilty friends too, because it's like you get each other, you
yeah,
know what's happening, and you're just promoting each other and supporting each other. And that's really fun.
yeah.
So, oh, cool. So January 15th that starts. So people can sign up now or
Yeah, they can sign up now. So there is the ability to sign up either for um, digital access to the community, and then the pattern book as well is available. Or you can just buy the pattern book, or you can buy the kit
Mhm.
with the pattern book and the digital access. There's loads of different variations of how you can sort of join in. And there's also the option that you can buy the kit without the pattern if you'd
Okay.
already owned the pattern from the previous release a few years ago,
Yeah.
because the pattern hasn't changed as such. It's just the color layout. So
Yeah.
if people already own the booklet itself, because it's a really nice book as well, it's like a proper bound book rather than a
Oh,
normal quilt pattern.
yeah.
Um, so it's quite a nice sort of keepsake as well, because
Yeah.
it's really visually pleasing to flick through.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if anyone's got it from the previous release, they can download this sort of recolored layout of the cutting guide for the new fabrics that relate back to the original pattern.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's good to know. And we'll put links to where people can do that in the show
awesome.
notes so that it's available. Um, that's really cool. And what a fun way to I love his quilts because I'm always into like stories and I've always grown up with like Disney movies and that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
whenever like somebody does a play on that within fabric or in a pattern, I'm just like, I love it. And it's so cool. And his patterns have just been so incredible and detailed and beautiful. So
mm,
to get to kind of reintroduce it, revamp it, give it some new life and reshape it with some Tula Pink. It's like how can you go
yeah.
wrong?
It's the perfect match.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing is,
exactly.
as well, is some people look at his patterns and they go, "Oh, it looks really difficult. It's too scary. I don't want to do it." But the I've said like many a time that the way that John breaks down his patterns and the construction process. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. There is a lot of cutting involved, but the thing is it's kind of like such good preparation, because once you've done all that cutting, you can just sit and everything is just like everything is labeled as you need it. It's like a
Mhm.
meal prep plan
Mm,
that you can sign up for, because everything comes pre-measured and you just
yeah,
chuck it in a certain order, and it's the
right.
same sort of process. So
Yeah,
because it's just like, right, okay, so there's a stack of like 1 inch squares that are all labeled A, and
right.
there's your B's and there's your C's, and the way that it's like, right, so stitch A to B, then
Hmm.
once you've done that, stitch and flip C on the corner. It's just so methodically written, it just
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. And when you're working with squares and rectangles, it's kind of like there's nothing crazy. It's not, it
yeah,
really
there's
is
no
just,
curved piecing or any
yeah,
applique or anything like that, so it is
yeah,
just straight piecing, it's just much smaller.
yeah. Yeah. And it's incredible what you can do with that because there is so much detail in the patterns, but there's no fancy, you don't have to paper piece, foundation paper piece anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to like get special tools or special templates, or it's just like, no, you're cutting strips and squares, and it's just
Yeah.
how you assemble it that makes this image come to life and give
Mm,
it some dimension. So that's really fun. Really fun.
yeah.
So that'll be a
I'm
good,
really excited.
yeah. Are you
I
like
think I'm looking forward to it more than the people that signed up.
really? Yeah.
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 I think, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. That's so fun because you're getting to do two things you love to do and guiding people through it. And it's already
Mm,
kind of something you do with your bags anyway. So
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
so nice.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. How much preparation are you doing for it? Like, are you going to have everything done ahead of time, or are you going to be sewing along with everyone?
So I think what I'm probably going to do is what I did with 100 Acre Wood. So I was lucky enough, John allowed me to have 100 Acre Wood early. So he
Mm,
allowed me to have the whole sew along in one go,
okay.
um, rather than it being released month by month as Second Star to the Right will be.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually got that about 4 weeks before I went on a 5-day retreat.
Mm,
So what I did was actually cut every single block and
mm,
put each block into project bags labeled and then wonder clipped every single like piece.
yeah.
So I came home with like bags full of wonder clips.
Yeah.
Um, but it meant that when I got to retreat, I could literally lay out all of one project bag and then just
Hmm.
sit and sew a block. And then once
Yeah.
that one was done, I just get the next project bag out. I mean, I probably spent the best part of about a day and a half just cutting the quilt out
Yeah.
because there was something like 12 blocks and 12 project bags to fill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I got about 9 of the blocks done in the 5 days.
Wow.
And then I finished the rest of them when I got home because I had a couple of days extra
Yeah.
of work. Yeah,
Nice.
that was good fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, I think my most dreaded part of making a quilt is cutting fabric. So, that is like the only thing that will delay me getting into starting a quilt. But I think, yeah, if you can just get into that like mindset of like, I'm just going to cut everything, get it all
yeah,
done so I can set it aside labeled and then just sit to sew. It's like, you just have to do it. You just have to like
yeah. Well,
buckle down.
the weekend just gone, I taught my husband's quilt about probably about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
Because he gets dragged around all the shows with me, and he was just like, I probably should learn how to actually use a sewing machine just so I've got some experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you want to know? I was like, what do you want to learn? So I taught him how to make I just gave him 2 Moda charm packs that I'd got off a D stash, like when I first started getting into buying better fabric.
Hmm.
Um, and he, I sort of said to him, right, okay, you need to keep a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You need to be really accurate. Make sure your seams nest when you join your rows, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And he made this like, it was only, obviously it's 2 charm packs, so it's what, 84 squares. So it was
Yeah.
like a lap size quilt. And he sort of like whizzed it up within about 3 hours
Yeah.
as his first ever sewing project.
Hmm.
Um, so then he moved from a simple charm square quilt to a quilt that was, I mean, even I would probably have to second think it. It's like big 12-inch star blocks that have got another star in the middle of them. So there's
Oh,
half square triangles everywhere.
yeah.
And I was like, are you sure you're going to be like, okay doing this? Well, he made it in like 3 days. And it's king size. And I was
That's
like,
so
right, okay,
annoying.
this is just ridiculous, okay? Because you've like had a crash course and you can just sew anything. And there's like it say there's 100 points on that quilt.
Hmm.
98 of them are perfect.
Yeah.
And
You're like,
like you've
fine.
not even like chopped off the end of any of these points. Um so
Ugh.
yeah, this past weekend he was like, oh, I really want to make a quilt, but he hates cutting out.
Hmm.
It just he's not like mathematically minded. So when it's
Hmm.
something that says like cut 72 2.5 inch squares, he's like, well, how am I going to get 72 squares out of width fabric
Mm.
strips and multiple cuts at the same time? He would be much happier just cutting every single one individually. So I was like, look, just give me the quilt. pattern, I'll cut
Yeah.
all of your fabric for you. So it was a lorry quilt. There was 33 fat quarters and 5.5 yards of background fabric in this pattern,
Yeah.
which we then later found out that once I cut everything, it took me like 3 hours to cut it all out for him, put it all in shoe boxes. So he's got it all
Yeah.
laid out, all
Hmm.
labeled. It then says at the bottom of the cutting instructions, you've now got something like 792 extra squares to make future projects. And I was like, so I've cut out all of that for no reason.
What?
So there was like nearly 3,000 squares that needed
Why?
cutting out of, I mean, 33 fat quarters and 5.5 yards of fabric is a lot of fabric for one quilt. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, this doesn't make sense. And then when we looked at the pattern and it said that you can make, I think it's so that you can make all 3 projects out of this quilt book.
Oh.
And I was like, well, you've got enough to cut out now to keep going for another year.
You're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Peace out, Girl
Yeah.
Scout. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're on your own.
So I'm not cutting anything else.
Ah, oh my gosh, that is bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
suppose it's economical in a way because
sure.
all of that fabric got used and it's going to make multiple projects.
Yeah.
So,
It,
but I wish I'd known.
yeah, I was gonna say if you're only making one project though, it would have been nice to know what just to cut for that. Because what if you didn't plan to make the
Yeah.
other projects? You know, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
really? But also, here you go, husband. Now you've got
Yeah. You'd make
I
3
don't
quilts now.
you can make 3 quilts and you don't have to bother me anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I try to teach my husband how to quilt, and when I sat him down to the sewing machine, he immediately mastered the 1/4 inch seam, which was like fine.
Yeah.
And then he turned um he was like, I was just having him sew like a little strip on the outer, sides of a square, and he turned
Mm.
it into a box. Like he made it 3 dimensional. Like I
Oh, wow.
was like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. I don't know what to do. I was just like, what? And then we started cutting out. He like picked up a quilt he wanted to make. Of course, it's like one of the worst written patterns of all time, but it's
Yeah.
gonna look cool because we have to do all the math of it and figure out what to cut and what to put where. And
Yeah.
it's so dumb. But anyway, so we have all the fabric cut. He cut it all. And I was like, yeah, you got to do this. And he's like, okay, I'm done. And I was like, what? He like whipped it out so fast. I was like, this is so rude. Like, I do this
Yeah.
all day, every day. And he's just like, the first time he ever used like a ruler with a rotary cutter, he was just like, perfect, did it all. It's fine. I was like,
Yeah.
we didn't get past that
Yeah.
though, because he ended up getting into a master's program and was in school. And I was like,
Okay.
but we have it. I'm like, he's like, when am I going to make my quilt? I'm like, whenever you decide you want to. I'm not going to badger you
Yeah.
about it. Like, but we have
Yeah.
to make a million half square triangles, and that's the part I'm not looking forward to, because I have to decide like how many of each, or we have to like go through and plan how many of each type of half square triangle we have to make, because it's not in the instructions at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, who wrote this pattern? Anyway,
Yeah.
but it's really frustrating when like it's literally your job to sew, and then your husband comes in and is like, I made a quilt. I'm like, get
Yeah.
away from me.
Yeah. Well, I also taught him how to use my so I've got this chaos that's here is
Mhm.
the flat pack of my little Grace frame.
Mhm.
So every now and then, every couple of months, I put that up, and because I have to have it in our living room,
Okay.
I build it, put my machine on it, and then I try and quilt as many quilts as I can bear to quilt in a sort of like weekend.
Yeah.
And some of them I just do really simple, just that they're actually finished, and then
Right.
some of them are more intricate. But when he made the really big quilt that's got like these massive stars with all the perfect points, he said, "Oh, can I quilt it on that?" And I was like, "You can do what you like." I was like, "I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
So I taught him how to use that, and even that, he's like, free motion the whole way along.
Oh my gosh. It's great. It's like we love to see it, but also I'm
Yeah.
leaving. I'm leaving.
Yeah. I
Oh my
keep saying
gosh.
to him, I need to train him in bag making because then we can go into mass production.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, you can actually benefit me if you just learn this instead. And who knows, he'd probably
Yeah.
knock it out of the park and make them even better than you, because that's just how it works,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
Rude. I know.
Funny.
My husband's like, could I learn the long arm? I'm like, absolutely you could. You just would have to like
Mm,
let me teach you something for like an hour.
yeah.
He's like,
See, when I'm in the process at the moment of looking at options for long arms because my sewing space is so small up here, and
mm-hmm,
there's obviously a lot of stock in terms of fabric. I mean, this so the stuff that's here is retail. That stuff is my own,
mm-hmm,
and I kind of it has to be stored in a certain way
mm-hmm.
so that I can see it all. But then that takes up so much space that I'm trying to figure out a way at the moment of trying to reconfigure the room so I can get a long arm frame against the wall over here.
Yeah.
And I'm contemplating whether I think initially I'm just going to get one that is just free motion.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and then I will look at adding edge to edge at some point in the future.
mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about that and I was thinking, if I could get him to learn how the edge to edge works, that could be really helpful.
I mean, honestly,
Because if he can load a quilt and then do the panto, like the edge to edge pantos and stuff,
yeah,
it would be we could just like conquer
yeah,
the whole sewing room
you
at
really
the same
could.
time.
Yeah, you really could. And it's really like, yeah, learning the program. It's just whatever program you have, you just have to dig in and push buttons, and hopefully whatever you choose has good education around it, because that can be the
Yeah,
trick of once you get a computerized system, like if there's not good education out there, it's makes it really tough.
yeah,
But yeah, it is so fun. It's my I long arming is my favorite part. I love it so
yeah.
much. That's why I do it as
So
business,
do I.
because I
Yeah,
just I want to I want to long arm all the quilts. I'm like, I could care less for sitting down and piecing something, but it's
yeah,
fine. I'll do it. I love quilting. I love quilts. I'm a yeah, I want something with certain fabrics, in my home. So I will make things just,
mm,
but I would rather just long arm. So it's a means
the
to an
it's
end. I'm like, I'm making this quilt so that I can long arm it.
yeah. Do you not find though that I kind of enjoyed the process of start to finish and being able to say
Hmm.
like I did the whole thing.
Hmm.
Because I don't know whether it's the same over there, but if you enter a quilt into a show, do you have to enter it as a two-person quilt if it's been long armed by a long armer?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So that is the same as here because I always wondered that. It's like because
Well,
I'm
it depends on
not
the show.
discounting edge to edge at
Right.
all
Right.
because there is so much skill behind it and making sure everything's lined up perfectly and the tension. And there's a lot more to it than just press and go, which
Hmm.
is I've I made a quilt for one of the quilts that I made for my parents. My mum thought that the quilting part of it was just done on a computer program, and I just pressed go. She didn't realise that I'd actually sat in free motion the whole entire quilt,
You're like,
and
no,
it
no,
blew her
no.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And I know that loading edge to edge and actually applying that to a quilt is not easy,
Uh-huh.
and I completely lost my train of thought.
You were asking about entering quilts and if you have to enter it as two-person.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. So with the edge to edge and entering it into a show,
Mhm.
I always kind of couldn't understand why it was a two-person quilt if it had just had an edge to edge design on it. But
Mhm.
then when you then realize how much work goes into the actual edge to edge, you can
Yeah.
understand completely why
Mhm.
it's a two-person process because it's not as simple as just press and go on there.
No, it's really
I mean,
not. And you
the amount of things you can run into.
yeah, literally, figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't give you enough backing, and sometimes because
Yeah.
they don't understand it. They don't understand why I need 5 extra inches on the edges and
Yeah.
for loading. And it's like, yeah, if on your domestic machine, you don't need that. If you're doing it yourself,
Yeah.
you don't need that. And there's sometimes where you can fudge a little less, but
Mm,
it, you just can tell when people have never finished their own quilt on a long arm.
yeah.
And um because they fight you. And I'm like, okay, you want to see what happens? Fine, I'll show you what happens. It's like,
Yeah.
and I've kind of let, I know this sounds terrible. I've almost like let the long arming process like just kind of naturally occur on whatever I've been given for someone who won't listen to me when they keep bringing me quilts that don't meet my requirements. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the consequence of not having enough backing, or this is the consequence of not, sewing your seams shut all the way. Like, I've had
Yeah.
some culprits. I'm like, every time they come, it's like something is going on that I'm like, I'm not faking it. I'm not just saying, I'm not trying to force you to buy extra
Yeah.
fabric because it's not like I'm keeping it. Like, you're taking it home with you. But if you
Yeah.
want me to do my job, I need certain things. And it's so that I can give you my best product. And like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just,
it's like trimming threads off the back so that they're not visible through the quilt top, and making sure that seams don't pop when it's loaded. And there's
hmm
so many things.
hmm
I
yeah,
mean, I've even noticed it when I'm quilting my own quilts on my frame. I
yeah,
mean, it's still a very similar process of loading it
hmm
onto the frame as it is the frame for a long arm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I've got to the end of a quilt before, and I've measured my batting, and I know that my batting is long enough, but then I've
hmm
got to the end and I'm like, I put my plumb line in way too high,
too
or
high.
no,
Yeah.
way too low,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then I've come down 8 inches rather than 6 inches.
yeah.
And then when
hmm
I've got to the end, I'm 1 inch shy. And then I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I have, I will admit, I have before now pulled the batting
Me too. On
just
my
to get
own.
to that last
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can get away with it, especially if you're able to trim your quilt down a quarter
hmm
of an inch more on the bottom
Yeah.
if there's a border on it and you're not really going to notice.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but there is reasons why people ask
Right.
for the correct
Right.
amount of everything.
Right. And it's just for the benefit of your quilt
Yeah.
looking good, and
Mm.
us as long armors not having to, like, essentially, in like, I've been injured trying to deal with people's lack of requirement because they didn't have enough backing, or I was trying to hold everything in place because I couldn't have my clamps on because the machine would run into them
Yeah.
to be able to quilt the quilt top. And it's like, oh, just add leaders. It's like, great, but then it still sews over the leaders because there's not enough
Yeah.
backing or whatever. I just don't do it. I just call people if they're like, oh yeah, there's enough, and then I load it and it's not. I just call them and say, there's not enough backing. You need to come get this and fix it. Or you can pay
Yeah.
me hourly to fix it. Like, I'll do it, but it costs
Yeah.
money. Like, and most people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Like, whatever you need to charge me is fine." And it's fine. It's not to be rude, but it's like, I'm trying to do something here. You're asking me to do something and then giving me something that I can't do what I'm supposed to do with. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I ranted a lot about it because it is kind of frustrating. It's like, I you can ask me to do something, but if you're gonna also like tie my hands behind my back, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So anyway,
Yeah.
it is interesting. And yeah, I think the two-person thing is interesting. And even for some shows, if you've had someone else long arm, or however they've done it, quilt your quilt,
Yeah.
um, they can't be paid. So it has
Oh,
to be a
really?
true collaboration. Mhm.
Okay.
So I
So,
know that it's that way for Houston. Um,
okay.
but I don't know how it is for other shows. I don't know because I've had people who've entered their quilts that have paid me for the service
Yeah.
in other quilt shows. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I think it's just from show to show, but for sure you do have to say it someone else, or that it's a second person worked on your quilt. So
Yeah. Because over here, I mean, I know with Festival of Quilts, it's a complete separate category,
mhm,
a two-person quilt versus
mm,
it's a separate category to like modern quilts
yeah,
and the other main categories.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And I
that's
could never
how,
understand why
yeah,
at
yeah,
first. Yeah.
yeah. And that's how our local show is too. They have a separate category for a two-person quilt,
Mm.
whether it's two people pieced it and one person quilted it, or somebody did some applique work and the other person did traditional piecing and finished it, or whatever it is, as long as it's two people are represented within the work. So
Mm.
um it's yeah. But if you're the one who pieces it, quilts it, binds it, it's one person.
Yeah.
one person quilt. So I'm hoping to one day enter my own local guild show, but every time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a quilt done this time. It's never in time. So,
Yeah. Mm.
and there's nothing
But
I feel
I
like,
had one to enter at festival this year. I
ooh,
had one ready to go. I was going to enter 100 Acre Wood because
yeah.
I was the only person in the UK that was able to sew it because it was the copyright
Hmm.
license on Winnie the Pooh
Right.
doesn't it's not public domain in the UK for another year or two.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to get around it because John gifted me the kit for it.
Hmm.
Um, so I was going to enter that for festival because the chances of someone else entering it were very, very low.
Right.
And then it got to like submission day, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can have someone criticize my work. I chickened out and just didn't do it.
Yeah. It can be
But then,
scary.
yeah, when I got there, I was like, oh, I should have just entered it because it would have been nice to see it hanging.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
I
next
think
year,
that's really like everybody's going to have opinions no matter what you do. So it's like, do you want to
yeah,
see your own quilt hanging in a show? And if so, then just do it because who cares what other people like? Everybody's going to have an opinion and you
yeah,
cannot change that. If you make quilts and then never show them off, like what is the point? Honestly, uh,
yeah,
it's a giant show and tell and I love it so much. And even if it's not
yeah,
like, I mean, there's plenty of quilts that I'm like, I would never make that in a million years, but I can still appreciate that someone else loved it and wanted to make it and
yeah,
wanted was really proud of it. And I mean, that's all that matters really. Like someone cared enough to say, look at this thing I made and want to show it off. So
yeah.
yeah, I love that. And I do. I really want to enter a quilt at some point, but I just
Mm,
every time I'm like, ah, dang it, I missed the deadline again, or like I didn't get that one finished, and that's the one I want to enter, whatever it is.
yeah,
So I'm like, they're not gonna want my mishmash of craziness that has absolutely no like points matching or anything because there was no rhyme or reason to it. It's like sometimes I just slap fabric together to do it because I just want it. And
yeah.
or it's been so long since I actually fully finished a quilt for myself that I can't enter it because it's more than 2 years old now. So it's like,
Of course, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I get in my own way, but
yeah. I think we all do that, don't we?
yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do about
Yeah.
it?
Just make another one.
Yeah, we'll just make another quilt. It's fine. I am working on a secret quilt right now that I'm so excited about. I've made the pattern before, but I'm
Yeah.
getting to use an unreleased line of fabric right now. So I'm very excited.
Fun.
And I was just so flattered to be asked, and it's going in the lookbook. So for that
Oh
line,
wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to share that
Do
one.
you not get really frustrated though when you get like because I've been on Circle of Makers when I get the fabric quite early. I mean, I normally get it after it's been officially released
Mhm.
itself, but whenever you're working on a project that hasn't been released yet, do you
Yeah,
not sort of sit there and you're just like, I just want to tell someone. And my
yeah,
husband gets so sick of me going on about the same thing over and over again because I can't tell anyone else.
yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, well, my sister was just here recently, and I was like talking to her about it because she gets it, and
Yeah,
so that was kind of fun to get to share it with her and just kind of talk to her.
yeah,
She's not, I mean, there's no photos, she doesn't have anybody tell, it's not like it's some big
yeah.
nuclear like codes or anything. But yeah, so that's really fun and I'm very excited to have another quilt of that pattern because I rushed through the first one and
Okay.
it was a test at the time, so it was like really tricky to like balance getting it done with also, making quilts for people full time. Like that was
Yeah,
and so it was actually the last test I did for this designer. But I just was like down to the wire, literally finished it at midnight on the day it was due.
yeah.
Like I didn't measure the backing correctly. Okay. So we do it to ourselves. Okay.
Yep.
And I ended up having it got to the bottom and I was like, mom, because I used to work with my mom and she was like, what? And I
Mm,
was like, my quilt top is longer than my backing. She was like, what did you do? I was like, I don't know. And I was like looking at like my order of the fabric and all this stuff. I was like, I didn't order enough. And she was like, what? I'm like, I just didn't even measure or think to like check
Oh
that I
wow.
was going to have enough, and I just don't have enough. And thankfully there's like extras of the, fabrics from the front of the quilt. So I was able to like piece together a strip,
Uh
and
yeah.
I had to like add it by hand to the bottom of the backing and re-pin it to
Oh
the
wow.
canvas and then finish quilting it. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God. So anyway, I'm excited to redeem myself and
Yeah.
get to use fabric that I'm excited about that is also like not released yet. So anyway, um,
Yeah.
so yeah, those kind of sneaky secret projects are kind of fun. And it is
Yeah.
frustrating that I
They're
can't
always
just be
fun. Yeah.
like, look how perfect my points are right now. Look how good that I trimmed these
Yeah.
flying geese. They're perfect. It's like I can't,
Yeah.
but soon, soon.
Well, I've just finished a quilt and mailed it last week. That isn't like out in the universe yet,
Mhm,
and I know that the person that it's gone to has received it,
mhm.
but there's nothing. I can't post anything about it yet because I don't want to be the person that reveals it, and I've been like sat like tapping my fingers and thinking, oh, when can I say anything about it? And a couple of my friends know about it. And
Mhm,
so like the whole process of like every time there was a shipping update, I was like, oh, it's here now. Oh, it's here now. And
mhm.
I think they're sick of it. I think they just want it to be like out in the world so that they can stop hearing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. It's,
But
it's
yeah,
fine. It's like, no, this is your cross to bear with me. So we're doing
yeah,
this together.
yeah. You were privileged enough to know about it in the making, so now you have to put up with the consequences.
Right? It's like, this is
Yeah,
what it costs to be in on the secret. So
yeah.
yeah, I love that. That's so funny.
Um,
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Adam. I have loved chatting with you and getting to know more about your process and how you got into sewing and all that stuff. But before we go, do you have a tip or piece of advice for our listeners?
so I've been thinking about this, and my I think my thing is not to ever be scared of moving forward and doing something different. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I've basically tried sewing pretty much everything there is to sew in terms of different types of sewing. And I
Yeah.
think my one sort of piece of advice is if you are a quilter and you've only ever sewn quilts and you've never explored sewing other things, it's the same process, it's just applied in a different way.
Mhm.
So never to be scared of trying dressmaking or bag making or soft toy making or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, it's still sewing. You know what you're
Mhm.
doing.
Mhm.
It's just a different type of pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And as someone who's venturing into garment sewing, like I said, I grew up with my mom who sewed, who made garments for me, but I never made anything. Like I'd
Yeah.
help here and there, but now that I'm like getting into fully making garments for myself, I'm like, I I have the
Yeah.
confidence because I've got the skills. It's like once you have the skills, you just have to apply it accordingly. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, and there are so many great free, easy patterns out there that can like you can dip your toe in
Yeah.
to try
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like I think people who make garments or make soft toys or make bags or whatever, they like a lot of times offer something free or something easy to get into so that you can kind of learn the ropes on something that isn't going to
Yeah.
break your brain at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like those like 108 offcuts that you have of quilt backing, because they're
yeah.
so wide, those like 1 yard offcuts, you can make like a full men's shirt out of them or a full
Yeah.
woman's blouse.
Yeah.
So it's just the same thing at the end of the day. It's just 100% cotton.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why not wear it if it's scrap?
I mean, truly, I've made tops this summer out of scrap and a skirt out of the scrap from
Yeah,
it was just left over from a quilt that I made for somebody. And I
yeah,
just didn't need as much fabric. And I was able to make a matching skirt and top from that fabric.
mm,
And I used every
yeah,
little bit of it except the selvage is in
yeah,
that outfit. And I'm like, look what I
yeah,
did. So it's out there for you. And I think it's yeah, it's like get some adventure. If you're not gonna like put your adventure into like climbing mountains or jumping off bridges with bungee cords or whatever, like
yeah,
you can sew something different than a quilt.
yeah. And we've all got plenty of fabric. It's not like we're going to miss a couple of yards if it goes wrong.
Truly, truly.
Yeah.
And then you can repurpose that back into a quilt if you really hate it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's not lost. It's not
Yeah.
it's just like going to the thrift shop and purchasing a, you know, men's shirt or a woman's dress,
Yeah, to make a quilt
then
from.
make
Yeah.
a quilt from. It's the same thing. Like it's fine. Nothing's lost.
Yeah.
Nothing is ruined or, you know, just
Yeah.
repurpose it. So I love that. That's great. Well, thank you again. And I cannot wait to see what comes from the quilt along. What's it called again? I'm so sorry. So Place Like Home?
It is, yes, so place like home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Place Like Home. We'll have the link in the show notes. So if people want to sign up for that, they can. They can go be part of the community. They can get kits. They can be prepared for January 15th
Yes.
and sew along with you to make a beautiful Wizard of Oz quilt and
Yeah.
use delicious Tula fabric. And
Yeah.
that's something, you know, really great to do when you've just come off holidays and it's kind of that
Yeah.
winter slump of like, wow, we have nothing to look forward to. It's like lies. You have this quilt along to look forward to. So
Yes, exactly.
get
Yeah. And
into
it
it.
finishes just before the second star to the right
Ah,
start as well.
there you go.
So yeah.
Just roll from
Yeah.
one right into the next.
Exactly.
Perfect. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you again. And yeah, we will be following along and I'll link all your socials and everything. People can find you on Instagram, on
Thank you.
YouTube, and yeah, thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's been great fun.